Come on up here, Senator McCain. Something that they don't understand, I'm afraid, is that if we pull out of Iraq and allow Iranian-sponsored terrorists and Al-Qaeda to win, they will follow us over here, and they won't distinguish between who was for the war and who was against the war. They will come after every American, including those who are exercising their right of freedom.
For healthcare, not for warfare. Money for healthcare, not for warfare.
Served my country. My husband laid down his life for his country. My grandfather stormed Normandy. My dad was in Vietnam. It's like, what else? Then you got people like this who disgrace America.
We're fighting for freedom, including freedom of speech. But sometimes when you give somebody freedom of speech, it doesn't mean you take a vow of silence when they say something stupid or despicable.
Actually, I was ashamed of the move on ad. As an American, we should have been outraged that people were allowed to get away with something like that. We should have been outraged that the media, the print media, allowed that not only to happen, but encouraged that to happen.
We managed to get 240 Iraq and Afghani veterans who are willing to take time off of work and fly them out here and take time away from their families. So the response was excellent.
It becomes silent, but it needs to be carried on. He can't speak for himself. He knew what he was doing was making a difference. He said it out of his own mouth. He was making a difference. And by knowing that he was making a difference, we carry on his voice. And that's what our job is. Our job is to make sure that his voice can still be heard through us. And that is complete the mission. The troops need their support.
So he went to fight terror, and he said that if he can get this war, fight a war that his child didn't have to, then he would.
Right. You voted in Iraq or cancer? How'd you get?
Asking questions such as, well, have you seen the news lately? And of course, yes, I've watched the news. Well, how do you feel about it? Well, they're not telling the truth. We just left Iraq, and based upon what I'm seeing on the news stations, that's not what's happening over there. Right. How the surge helped us in general as soldiers being on the ground, and how the mission changed to where we're providing more security for the Iraqi people has helped them. Now they can better make decisions when they're not afraid to get up in the morning and go to work.
I sent the same letter, we like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, got no response from either of them, from Pelosi or Reid. Just not very interested, I don't think, in hearing from a side that doesn't reinforce their already rigidly held beliefs.
We were able to meet with Hillary Clinton today, Senator Clinton, and she turned and she gave us the expression, you need to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and that was pretty interesting.
Al Franken.
And how did that go?
The elevator door opened, I saw him and thought he'd be a nice person to have a discussion with about a little bit about patriotism and doing a reality check with him. And
how did you take that?
Not too good. Well, he wanted to explain to me how many times he'd been to Iraq and Afghanistan, and I have too. And I stayed a little bit longer each time when I went than he did. And I had to explain that to him, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just think he needs to show a little bit more respect than what he does.
All the other senators and representatives we visited listened to us, and George talked at me the whole time. So,
and what did George tell you?
He told me that we don't know what victory is, we can't define it, and then he handed me his new resolution to get us out of there, and he told me to read that. I told him we can define victory, and that's defeating Al-Qaeda and securing the country, and he just didn't want to listen to it.
What do you think it would look like if it was Vets for Freedom versus Move On? Like, say, if you met up on the Hill sometime.
If we met up on the Hill sometime?
What would happen? Where would that go?
It could be a smackdown, but it would be a verbal smackdown.
All right.
We would keep it professional, unlike them, probably.
Well, they're lucky.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So what I went through in Vietnam, having to listen to all the protesters and everything, was just the whole thing happened then. And I think we did the wrong thing in Vietnam by pulling out, and a lot of people got killed because of it. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 million people.
Right.
And so we need to keep doing what we're doing here, and we need to beat these guys, because if we don't, we're the ones that's going to lose. I mean, they're not going to stop coming after us until we're done beating them.
I'm a patriot. I'm a soldier. It's mission first. It's people always. I understood when the nation called the need for soldiers. And if you are an American, I don't want to offend people, but if you are an American that has values, the values that make this nation great is what were instilled in me. And now that I have those values, I wanted to be able to go out and help other soldiers, help other people who were in need of freedom.
There are good, hardworking Americans who want us to stay the course. We really need victory. People may not believe it, but America needs victory for so many reasons. And one of them is that for our safety, and another reason is that so that we can hold our heads proud, and another reason is that we are the leaders of the world. And if we don't hold the line against these jihadists, who will?
Since November 13th of 2004, we don't have Justin to call us every other day and say, we're making a difference. But today I had 100 guys standing behind me saying, you know what? We're still making a difference. And so they kind of picked up his voice, and I really appreciate that.